Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. I am here with three of my favorite blokes, Jim Stewartson, High Fidelity. We got Jack Bryan in the house. Our friends will recognize Jack from our most recent episode and his previous appearances on Rad Pod. Among them, we've discussed his film Active Measures, his podcast American Psyop, and our most recent episode, we talk about lawyers, guns, and money, which is so exciting. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to hear the next episode. So anyway, yeah, that's why I said it was a spectacular. So we can talk about some CIA stuff, Jim.
I disapproved and I held back from expressing my disdain at the cheesy thing because you brought it up, so now I have to.
All right.
It is my way. It is my way. Confronted with disinformation, I will always counter it.
All right. Well, here we are. We are trying to undisinform people. I've invented a new word called bitter shit. Bitter shit, one word, multiple syllables. I had a bit of a bitter shit day because I don't like Christo-fascists, and I started to poke around at the new speaker in Louisiana, and it was like took 1 second to find donations from like Russian companies, and I was just like pissed. How about you guys?
I thought bitter shit sounds like a better noun than a verb. Like there's so many all these little pink bitter shits running around like talking smack, just, you know what I mean? But anyway, I am also in the bitter shit phase, whichever part of grammar you choose.
Yeah, Hi-Fi looks like he's getting high, so you're probably not feeling too bitter shit.
No way.
Oh wait,
I got to take a picture of this shirt with Adam Kinzinger.
That was cool. Yeah, that was the opposite of bitter shit.
And of course you did, in front of a children's library.
Well, that's just where it was, man. Like that was that section of the library.
One shot at an actual lawmaker, right? And you wear that shirt.
And you wear
this
library. Shirt.
Yeah, no, I thought it was actually perfect. Anyway. Jack, how was your day?
My day was pretty good. I am. I'm working on right now. I'm working on some bonus episode stuff, and I'm very following the charts of the progress of how things are going with it, and very excited, and just crossing all the doing the little stuff that I put off until the end, putting the credits on, things like that. But I'm very excited.
Starting the next one, Jack? That's what I want to know.
Sorry, the next. Well, there's. I don't know that the next one is going to be a podcast.
We should distract from this one because this.
No, of course not. No,
right now.
I actually don't right now know what's next. So I actually made this kind of along the same time, at the exact same time, largely as I was making American Psyop.
Yeah.
Like I started interviewing Wes in I think May of 2020. Is that possible? And then, or 2021, May of 2021. I was gonna say that seems way too long. And then I started interviewing John in the fall. So this has been sort of a 2-year process of getting this done. And I was making both of them at the same time, and editing both at the same time, and kind of jumping back and forth between the weeks. And so for the first time in a couple of years, I actually don't know what the next project of mine that's going to come out is. But I've definitely I can't talk about anything, but I've got like a few things that are looking good.
Yeah, awesome. I want Jack to do a French film French New Wave podcast with me, but he's too damn busy. He's the only other person who knows the French filmmakers as well as I do.
I would, in order to do a podcast, like I would need to freshen up so much that like,
yeah,
it would. I would not feel comfortable doing it without like a solid level of freshening up.
You don't have to freshen up for
not for me.
Because I haven't been a film guy mostly since over 10 years now.
Yeah.
That was the last time I read a book on the history of anything in film was 10 years ago. So I am way. You
know how I brush up? I go to the New Bev and I go see Army of Shadows by Jean-Pierre Melville, and I invite you guys, and then you guys don't go, so then I got to go by myself and make friends, but it's okay.
I love it movie.
Hey,
I have a story.
Yeah.
Can I pitch a story? I'm going to pitch a story real fast. It's a story about 3 strangers who meet on the internet and get sucked into hybrid warfare being run by a 5th column inside the United States, some Europeans and a bunch of Russians, and a co-opted general. Who's
how does the story end?
Three's Company. It'll be great.
Well, you have to. I feel like a story needs to end before you tell it.
Yeah.
This one hasn't ended yet.
This movie is just getting to the good part. So.
I was going to say, though, high five. That's a real stretch.
Are we hitting the climax, man?
Oh, man.
Well, I don't know, man. The next year is definitely going to be the end of something.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to say, from my point of view, the writing and directing suck. This is a terrible story.
I was gonna joke that it could never happen. LOL. Let's talk about Jack's podcast, Lawyers, Guns, and Money, with our wonderful resistance friend John Cryer, who produced it with them and is also the narrator. Can you let people know who haven't seen our last episode and who haven't yet seen the trailer some of the high concepts of this podcast, because it is really freaking exciting?
Absolutely. So on its surface, it is this insane true story that somehow we don't know about, which is that this public defender on his first day on the job in Miami in 1985 gets a defendant who tells him that he can get off from his charges because he's been running guns into Central America with the CIA. And as Mattis investigates, he falls into an insane world of mercenaries, drug smugglers, and winds up coming out the other end in a very sort of explosive climax that involves thwarting an assassination attempt on a judge. So that's a little tease for where this story is going. And so, I mean, like, just it is the most insane, every 5 minutes, some like amazing thing that actually happens. But beyond that, it is also a real look at American covert operations and how we got to the place where we are right now in terms of the threats to our democracy and how we're here.
Can I? Oh, you're muted, Heidi. So I'm going to ask him a question.
I'm sorry.
Go, Jim.
Nope, Jim gets it by default.
Go, Jim. Go, Jim. Go.
So now I have to cough. That's not fair.
Now I get to go.
You go.
Yeah, it passes to Heidi.
So I do want to say that for our friends who want to get a preview of the series already, because it actually comes out, I think, the 29th, you can actually listen to the first episode and bonus material by going to lawyersgunsandmoney.supercast.com. Hi-Fi is slowly looking for that link to pop up there. lawyersgunsandmoney.supercast.com. Right now, you can get for a one-time fee of $7.99, you can actually get the entire series, I think, right? Yeah. So you can do that, and then
and we're gonna have about 4 bonus episodes probably, and so
there it is.
And if a lot of people sign up, and also that price, I dropped it down for this show, knowing I was coming on, I dropped it down a couple bucks, so it's usually a little bit higher. So I would get it if you're looking to get a little price, cut on it. I'd do it during the show.
Thank you
that's
so
going
much.
back up.
24-hour Rad Pod special. Here we go.
We gotta do we get a bonus code? That's what I
Oh yeah, let's get a bonus code.
Well, this is your bonus code.
This is our bonus code.
This is your bonus
code.
Listen, I just set this thing up, man. I don't know.
Before Jim jumps in, I do want to say the bonus material was so freaking important because before this lawyer even goes to Florida and even starts getting engaged in this whole crazy ass narrative part of our history, he's already kind of like the smart guy who they've taken an interest in because of the politics he's involved in. And he, can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I just thought like, whoa, the intelligence agencies were already interested in him.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the sort of fun things about this story is I didn't know any of this aspect of his life when I started the story. It was only when I was starting to do research on him, I was finding these articles from the early 70s. I'm like, what is this? And he was part of a political radical movement in Madison, Wisconsin. And it was right as he was graduating as an undergraduate, decided to just run for public office almost on a lark, like after losing a bet in a bar. And they end up winning. And but also within that, he ends up becoming a target of the FBI because of a lot of the, well, I won't say who, but we'll say he has a meeting with one of the most famous rock stars in the world. And this helps put him on the sort of FBI radar. And if you wonder who that is, you can listen to the bonus episode.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say.
And so so cheap.
So within that, the bonus episodes, we really get into that period of his life and look at the just the insane world that was Madison, Wisconsin in the 70s. When it had, I mean, the mayor of the city was a political radical who had been beaten up in a riot. And so it was this totally strange new approach basically to government, and they had to figure out how to do that, how to actually make that government work. And so there's all these gems that we couldn't quite necessarily, I mean, some of that ended up in the episode, but just a minority of it. And that's the case throughout the series. So the first 4 episodes at least are definitely going to have bonus. The first 3 definitely, and maybe 5, and I don't know 4, but first 3 definitely bonus material. It's a crazy world, and there's a lot of weird little side quests that get uncovered. But yeah, no, his time in Madison is amazing, and he is a really fascinating, because also this is only one of his sort of stories. Like we mentioned in the sort of last episode, like a couple other things that he found himself in the middle of, and so I think that there's a good chance we'll end up doing future bonus episodes for the members on that as well.
Thank you for that, Jim.
All right, I changed my question. Can we talk a little bit about Jack Singlaub, not without giving anything necessarily from the Phenomenal podcast?
Well, I'll say this so basically the show, the members get episodes a week early. So if you have a membership this Sunday, you're going to get a new episode where you hear quite a bit about someone named Jack Singlaub.
Well, let's tease that and encourage people to, for the very low price of $7.99.
Sunday.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I just need to know one thing, Jack. When are we getting shirts of this? Because this is so good.
Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
I need that on a hot pink T-shirt. I will wear.
I'm for it. Hey, listen, if everybody on this starts signing up, we'll start doing things like that. That is definitely. I've certainly already had that thought, and yeah, I think it would be a great T-shirt. I'm for it.
Oh yeah, support your local producer, directors, activists, and do we have that clip that I asked you to cut?
Wait, hold on. You guys.
We're not doing clips yet.
Over my question. All of my question.
I thought that was your question.
Sorry, I cut him off. in the middle of his question. I apologize.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. No, I got so excited. I had an answer ready to go. Sorry.
And then Hi-Fi jumped in with his weird T-shirt idea.
What's wrong with weird T-shirts?
All right.
Ah.
All right, I just want to hear a little
I'll have
bit
a new
about.
one next week.
So
Just
just
wait.
as a tiny bit of setup for those who follow the show, Jack Singlaub was the founder of America's Future. America's Future was a sort of anti-communist kind of thing that happened that Singlaub put together after World War II in 1946. And for some reason, Mike Flynn ended up with it. And right now, as we speak, it is full of Pizzagate propagandists only, who all they do is spread Pizzagate shit about child trafficking. So keep that in mind while Jack tells us what Jack Singlaub, where Jack Singlaub comes from.
Yeah. So this, well, I mean, Singlaub is a person who was deeply, deeply ingrained in the intelligence community. Way back in OSS, he was. I mean, he was. He did the initial low altitude parachute jumps. And Bill Casey, who ends up being Reagan's CIA director, is Casey, or is Singlaub's case officer. He is well, you'll get some of this biographical, but anyway, he is a general. He basically gets fired for criticizing the way that Jimmy Carter is handling suggesting that Carter is underestimating the communist threat by saying he's going to take troops out of the Korean Peninsula. He's out, and then he goes practice, starts Western Goals, which is basically a private intelligence firm, and they start taking over a lot of operations that the FBI and CIA have no longer been allowed to do, i.e., political operations. And you'll hear more and more about that.
It sounds familiar.
But also Singlaub gets tied up also with the militia movement.
No way. This all somehow sounds super duper familiar. I don't know why. Like, I mean, you know, so
a retired military person with a history of intelligence work joins up with anti-democratic forces
after getting fired by a lib. But after getting fired by a lib, who is, and then he gets real mad at the libs, and then whoops, all of a sudden he's just doing lots and lots of anti-democratic shit. Isn't that weird?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's crazy.
I have no idea either.
no idea. I don't know. I don't get the reference.
Let's just call it the apple not falling far from the tree for now. Because it's a very, very interesting relationship. By the way, Singlaub, in my view, is one of the most fascinating rat fuckers of all time. And in the last 18 months of his, or maybe 12 months of his life, disowned Mike Flynn and America's Future because he thought Mike Flynn was too over the fucking top. So when you get a load of Jack Singlaub's whole deal here, you will be amazed at the idea that Mike Flynn lost Jack fucking Singlaub. So anyway, there's my teaser.
I have a question. A lot of people don't know the origins of the CIA, which is one of those three-letter agencies, which is always used like a buzzword in disinformation and radicalization. Can you tell our friends who are watching tonight what some of the origin story of the CIA is and why it's so important when people are trying to use it to spread disinformation, that what they actually don't realize is how much it connects to the highest office in the land?
Yeah, absolutely. So CIA is, I mean, it depends when 47 basically is when it starts. And it's really develops out of two things. One is OSS operations in World War II. The other is the sort of forming Cold War. It is basically designed to be and kind of created. Well, whatever. The Truman sort of created it with a sense of kind of unease because everyone's getting out of World War II and nobody wants an American Gestapo. And one of the purposes the agency is formed, though, is to basically, and one of the reasons it's palatable to the president is that it's a way that he can hide his hands in covert actions.
Yeah.
That you can do things, but it can't necessarily be tied to you. And so that's a policy that becomes, basically instituted, but it kind of gets pulled away in the mid 70s. And that the CIA gets reformed in terms of how it answers to Congress, how it answers to the president, and that those changes kind of set up a lot of the story that is to come afterwards. And so there is a direct line of accountability within the CIA. And again, I think it's important to mention that the CIA is simply just a part of America's foreign policy apparatus. It is like the State Department, like the FBI, like it can't work off on its own doing its other thing because it has to be part of a whole. So that's not to say that the president knows about most operations that are going on at the CIA. And that's not to say that there's not a ton of politicking that goes on, but they're all largely happening under American policy and a broader American political interest. And I think that there's an idea that the CIA is just sort of a bunch of spies going around doing whatever they can to start trouble. And I mean, I don't think it's quite like that. I think it's much more of a apparatus where you are accountable on things.
Well, I mean, you mentioned, or at least you alluded to the church committee, right? Which was, in the 70s, a response to what was in the 60s, at least, more of what you're describing, right? It's not like the CIA doesn't have a history of, going. I mean, who knows? Maybe all those presidents knew about MK Ultra and all the giving acid to random people. I don't know. But it seems like there was a cowboy atmosphere for a long time before.
Yeah, and again, that's why I'm parsing and saying that's not to say that the president knows about every operation or knows about every single thing that's going on.
Yeah, no, I'm
100%. And also, by the way, the CIA has a lot of political power in DC. They can throw their muscle around a lot. So it's like Senator Church did not win re-election after the church committee here. It's not sort of an easy thing, but I think that they're generally, the way that CIA is talked about is it's talked about as outside of just America's foreign policy apparatus. Like the CIA director reports to the president, the same as now that doesn't mean that the CIA director has to do everything that the president says, just like the FBI director doesn't have to do everything, but he'll get fired if he doesn't. But
really?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is it depends who it is, but clearly the president can fire whoever he wants. I mean, there was an understanding that the president kind of couldn't fire the FBI director in the way that there was understanding that the president had to release his tax returns, but none of that stuff turned out mattered. So, and you can fire a CIA director.
Right. But what,
and so,
I guess
yes, there is sketchy stuff and there's people doing stuff. But I just think that there's that people err on the wrong side of that gray. I think people tend to err on the side of the gray of the CIA as just being this completely independent organism acting on its own, whereas I think in reality, when you look at the really shitty stuff that the CIA has done, it probably happened under Kennedy, Eisenhower, Nixon, or Reagan, in terms of fucking up another country. And that's not to say that Carter was perfect or these guys, but frankly, Johnson was not doing a lot of CIA operations in Central America. He wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And so the CIA also wasn't doing it at that period of time as much. I mean, yes, there's always stuff going on. I'm not trying to, but Kennedy had and Eisenhower had a ton of covert operations that were run. Nixon the same and Reagan the same. And after that, they kind of, and in between those, and obviously HW, And I've just named most of the presidents in the last 20th century, but either way. But those things all came out of their policies, like that. Those things all came out of, and one can make a point on the Bay of Pigs. The Bay of Pigs was a thing that the Dulles boys wanted, and the CIA, but he signed off on it. Like they couldn't do it without him saying, "Do this," and like. So, it's not like there is, I'm trying to absolve the CIA of, doing shitty stuff. Yeah. But I also, like, I'm not a person who thinks that the CIA should be abolished. Like, I think
neither am I,
yeah,
by the
I think
way.
you want to have a central intelligence agency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would offer forth the viewpoint. The subject is more nuanced than people realize. Right? I mean, there's good actors and there are bad actors.
Well, I think it's even more nuanced than that, in the sense of, like, I think that there are probably people who work for the CIA that do things that they're not feeling great about.
Yeah.
And in some cases they're doing stuff that the CIA wouldn't feel great about. And so, I think it's like anything, kind of,
One of my problems is that the CIA has an investment arm, and it's called In-Q-Tel, right? And In-Q-Tel gave...
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Okay, good job.
Millions and millions of dollars. They gave that man millions of dollars. Palantir wouldn't exist without CIA investment. So I wonder now if they...
Okay, I'm gonna derail this this conversation right now, because go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Well, I think you could say that Elon Musk wouldn't exist without energy tax credits.
We do say
but
that.
I don't think the energy tax credits are the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean? So I think that I don't disagree with you that the CIA has, when you look through the world, that they. But I think that when you look at, for me, the most fucked up shit that they've done, they've been the weapon, not the brain. And it's been because Nixon was like, get that guy out of there.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, this is my job. I'm going to go do that now.
Yeah.
They followed orders.
And so I kind of have a little bit more,
I just cannot wait for you to share with us something that you learned about the Reagan administration that just blew your mind doing this series. Because I'm going to guess there's like 13 things, but there's probably like one or two, that just were like, oh my God.
Here's what I'll say it is. And I think it's a cheat of an answer. I'm going to cheat, but here's what it is. It's how well documented so much of this stuff that is shocking is. And it's the thing of, like, when a scandal happens and then 40 years go by, there are deathbed confessions. There are things, and they don't get front page news because the story isn't front page news 20 years later. But when you're doing a thing like this, you can kind of start from, like, well, let's look at it right now. What's come out since then, and kind of ignore a lot of the narratives that exist at the time, and kind of just try to look at it with fresh eyes.
Yeah. I want to.
I think that was.
Go ahead.
For me, that was the thing I think I learned most about the Russia stuff. Looking into the Russian collusion story and making a documentary on that. I mean, most people in America still think, or I would say a good percentage of people in America still think that's BS, or think that's a hoax. Paul Manafort's confessed. You know what I mean? Like, he's confessed that he did it. Like, it's not during the campaign. So like, if I could, if I made action measures now looking back, it would be having that piece of information would be great. And yet it's because he did it after the story was out of the headlines, people don't know about it. And so imagine 30 years of that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at with this story.
How rich the material is as a producer. What I want to say is that I just retweeted an old thread of mine from 2018, so 5 years ago, September 2nd. And it's clips of Active Measures. And I didn't realize that it was watching Active Measures, which is where I was inspired to do the portmanteau. It's complicated, which I ended up writing a book called It's Complicated. It was literally watching active measures, writing a review for my little May West Side blog at the time, and just looking back on that film. That film was so incredibly brilliant because it took the material that some of us knew and it put it together in this incredible linear fashion where we could follow along. And when you talk about the people who don't really know, it's because we discuss here on the show the 3 words, Russia, 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 was actually very good propaganda and very effective propaganda. But anybody who would take 90 minutes to watch your incredible film with beautiful, haunting, and mournful music as well would learn that it's all there. We were had in 2018. We've been the target ever since. We got our big tip off in 2014 in Ukraine, and we still act like it's not happening. And so, along with people supporting your new podcast, please watch Active Measures. It's 90 minutes of your life, and it really fills in every gap that people might have. So, yeah, Jim.
I want to ask you about something that frightened me recently, and I wanted to get your take on it. This is not about the CIA, it's about the FBI and the current FBI director. Specifically bringing this up because, you mentioned you should be able to fire the FBI director if he's not doing his job, because that's the rules now, right? We've established new rules, and we should be following the rules that exist instead of the rules that we want. So on 60 Minutes the other night, Chris Wray and the other 4 of the Five Eyes went on 60 Minutes and talked about how China is the most the biggest emergency of all the foreign nations around the world, and yada yada yada. And the reason for that was because of stealing our IP. Not a fucking word about Russia in the whole episode, because it was all about China stealing our IP, which, as far as I remember, they've been doing for fucking ever. But he said there were 2,000 FBI investigations into Chinese theft of American IP. Does that sound right to you? Does any of that sound right to you?
Oh man, I don't. I would not be the. I don't know. I mean, I'm down that he's that I have concerns about him as a FBI director.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. It just because you know.
Well, but I mean, listen, I just don't. For me, my biggest concern is Russia. Obviously,
yeah,
that's
me
my
too.
biggest concern personally.
Great.
I also think that if China was like, hey, Russia, get the hell out of Ukraine right now, or we're not going to buy your shit anymore, they would.
Oh,
yeah.
So in that sense,
China's not.
No, but in that sense, I can see that in terms of that China has a lot more cards than Russia has. Like Russia is one bad day away from just complete collapse.
I agree.
And China is a much more long-term concern in a lot of ways. And so listen, I hear you. I think that I don't have a great deal of faith in. I don't have any reason to feel I should. But I also don't know. I don't know on that. I can't. I don't feel comfortable being like the FBI director is wrong on that, because I just don't know. I don't know. I wish I had felt more comfortable.
The FBI did just put out. The FBI did just put out a news alert about Russia a couple weeks ago. Do you remember that?
A two-page PDF that said absolutely nothing at all, that hasn't been known for 40 years. Literally,
the timing of it was interesting to me, but
it was meaningless. I'm sorry. Also, he went on Kremlin propaganda network, Fox News, and put forth a conspiracy theory that there was a biolab leak in China, which is not supported by any evidence at all.
Meanwhile,
Anyway,
Charles
Charlie.
McGonigal pleaded guilty, right, to you know.
Right.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't. I think that there are constant problems in the FBI. I mean, just the fact, for another reason alone, the fact that 2 former FBI directors basically went to work for the Russians.
Yeah, right.
Is one literally becoming the lawyer for? I think there should be a law that if you get to a certain level, you can't work for a foreign.
Yeah.
And listen, the problem is if you are, in their defense, I guess, if you are that person and you retire and you want to make a lot of money, the only people who are going to be hiring you are really bad dudes.
Well, Mogilevich,
and like Greenpeace is not going to be hiring, Mogilevich, yeah.
Right. Mogilevich's lawyer, by the way, who you're alluding to, is William Sessions, who former FBI director.
Yeah.
And his son was, for about 15 minutes, the leading nominee for Speaker of the fucking House of Representatives. Yeah. Not that Mike Johnson is any better, but Pete Sessions was number 3 or he was one of the people that was in contention for. He didn't get a vote, sorry, but he was one of the people who had put his name up for nomination, and there were a lot of people pushing for him. And I'm like, Mogilevich is the head of all the Russian mafia for many years at least. The guy who represents him, his son, is going to be Speaker of the House with all of those security clearances and access to, he's part of the 8. What the fuck is the name of the 8 in Congress that get all of the security clearances? It's just astonishing, where we've gotten to, where none of this shit matters anymore.
Well,
I totally agree.
In this case, it does.
But what's so important about what you guys are talking about is, we talked about this with Craig Unger many times, it's what's legal that is harming our national security all the time. If former FBI Director William Sessions can go work as a lawyer for Mogilevich, and Bob Dole can go work for Deripaska, and on, then it's what's legal. It's not like the dark alley bribery, it's the K Street lobbyists. And we've seen that in our current fight, because some of the players that currently we report on, who are currently national and global security threats, took money from various, Kremlin cutouts, took money from various, goons from Turkey, and it keeps on revealing terrible vulnerabilities in our country. But also, these same people also partook in some criminal activities too, and the fact that many of them still have not been indicted is the biggest threat. Yes, Jim.
I wanted to mention one of those people, who I may have mentioned once or twice, Mike Flynn. Anyway, look him up.
Who's that? When we talked about him?
He, yesterday, sued MSNBC, Nicole Wallace, and Andrew Weissman for having the temerity to say his fucking name on TV. Literally, like, they barely, I'm always super happy. I'm stoked because they're like the only people on TV who will, literally, like everybody else, just fucking terrified of him. And guess why? Guess why they're terrified to say his name? Because every time you do, you get fucking sued by this son of a bitch. And the gall, the shamelessness of this motherfucker, I just had to say out loud, literally, fuck you into the sun, Mike Flynn. Stop trying to.
No. There's more that we can add to that list. Man. Because what law firm is suing you, and what is that connected to?
Look, that is a rabbit hole that could go on for fucking ever. But yes,
Yeah.
The little Alfred E. Newman looking motherfucker who represents Khalifa Haftar, Eric Prince's Libyan warlord, is suing me and Nicole Wallace, and Rick Wilson, which is just weird and fucking strange.
Well, it's
kind of world is this
historically.
It's an exclusive club.
Historically,
I feel cool about it, honestly.
Historically, it would not be weird because, as Jason Stanley reported probably almost 2 years ago, we are now in fascism's legal phase. So we better win. And I think him actually going after Nicole and Andrew is probably good for you, because maybe media will actually have to report on the lawfare that you've been subjected to.
It'll be fun to see.
But wait. Let's talk about
the only news is Gateway Pundit.
Let's talk about the flippening. Let's talk about the flippening, because I do think that matters. One of our friends, was it Jay Rance who came up with the term, the flippening?
Yeah.
You know, underneath all the headlines and all the distressing news, we have Sidney Powell flipping, and multiple other members of Georgia's Gangland 19, and I think that's really important.
I agree. What's more important to me is that moving up the chain appears to be what they're doing, and I want to hear what Jack thinks. But
yeah,
there is a habit that the press has when they mention, like, Sidney Powell, for example, of calling her Trump's lawyer, which is fucking bullshit. She never was. Trump tweeted about her once, and then he started saying, well, that fucking weirdo is not my lawyer, until Flynn brought her to the White House on 12/18/20, where they planned the insurrection, because that was a wild protest tweet. So what's fascinating to me is for a couple of reasons, Sidney Powell being called Trump's lawyer and everyone trying to focus everything on him, I think is interesting. But it also seems like a hopeful sign that she got this probation, given the amount of involvement she had.
Yeah,
because
misdemeanor.
She has to have somebody to testify on, and I don't think it's Donald Trump, because she didn't really talk to him much. What do you think, Jack? Do you have any opinion? Not to put you on the spot.
I think that she probably has a lot of information on that period after the election. I think she'd have less about the buildup, which I think would be interesting. But some of it, I mean, she'll have a lot of stuff through Flynn, at least. And I think it's great. I mean, listen, obviously I'm not happy that she's not getting any jail time. She's been some of those. I mean, I feel like she was on my radar so long. I remember when Flynn hired her and being like, oh my God, Mike Flynn hired Sidney Powell.
Yeah.
It was like forever ago. Then she became a mainstream character. It was very odd.
But who did she work with? Who did she work with to get Flynn off the hook?
Is this a trick question?
Department of Justice.
A character from
your series, probably
from
Bill
the fabulous new series, Lawyers, Guns, and Money, only $7.99 at your local shop.
Link.
Yeah. Yes. No, that was a whole con job. It seemed to me certainly to be the plea deal. I don't know what was going on there. That was that.
Yeah,
it made no fucking sense at all, and even the judge after was like, "Wait, what the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Actually, I need to bring this up.
Yeah,
I need to bring this up because this is
Oh.
important. So we talked about in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the network of Ellen Wood, and here's Sidney Powell over here, and she's pled guilty, and she was Mike Flynn's lawyer, and we know that Peter Teal gave money to Mike Flynn for MAGA 3X, right? But my big problem with this whole thing has always been the Rittenhouse fundraiser on Give, Send, Go and laundering money, right? Because of this kind of stuff. Because of this.
Yeah, I think we can
raising money through the internet.
I feel like any
now
minute
it turns
now we're
out
going to
that
see.
Peter Teal's, hold on, Heidi, hold on.
Yeah.
Peter Teal's an FBI asset, right? He's an FBI informant now. I just want to know if he told the FBI about the business relationship between this crazy Russian son of a bitch who's now passed away and this guy who's a friend of his. Like, that kind of stuff seems important to me. I don't know. Maybe not.
All right, high five. You've gotten your daily like.
He's
You know what that was?
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
That was a big
That's what
wind
that
up.
was.
That was a
Sorry,
big.
Jack.
That
It was,
wind up
wasn't it?
Far too long and yeah.
all right. We've had our Peter Teal moment. We've had High Five's network moment. He will forever be trying to get justice for the fact that money was raised off the murders of people by Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah.
Well, it's not just that.
We know.
Look, yes, we know. Here's the important thing about Linwood. He's a cooperating witness.
Right.
And he says that I believe he was co-conspirator number 6, if I recall correctly. And he said that he's not testifying against anybody who has already been indicted.
Ooh.
Now, one of the people who has not been indicted is, I need a Flynn moment button. That's what I need.
So I think
I'll just make a compilation of you saying
it would be broken within like 5 minutes.
Yes, it would.
It would be
Hey.
holding it down constantly.
As a filmmaker, have you seen the Roger Stone documentary, A Storm Foretold? I don't know if you've had a chance because you've been so busy, Jack. But I just, is Jack frozen? Or is it me who's frozen?
He appears to be.
No, he froze up.
Me? Him? Jack?
No, Jack.
Yeah.
We lost Jack.
Jack, dump out, come back. Jack, come back. Dump out.
All right, I'm gonna kick him, and then he's gonna have to rejoin.
Why don't you show the clip from the show while he's coming back in? Him talking about his true north. See, Jack moved. That's what happened. He went like this, and it was like.
Hopefully he didn't smash his face into like the camera or something.
When I got into working in this space in 2017 was really when I started focused very directly on this. It really, you do have, there's so much new information, so many new scenarios that you kind of have to figure out, like, what is my true north in this? Like, where do I actually hold my, no, this is good. And if we're fighting for that, that is good. Yeah. And for me, that's democracy. That is actual democratic processes. Right. And that is the place where I sort of shine my light as my sort of true north of, are we working towards a more democratic, more open world, or are we shutting it down and trying to create authoritarian systems?
I absolutely love that line. And I wish that, I wish Jack could have heard himself say that again. Jack, you weren't able to hear it, but we just showed the clip about your true north, about how are you frozen again? Are we back? Can you hear us?
I can't tell.
Yeah.
He looks frozen to me.
There he is. There he is.
There he goes.
All right, great. I can hear you the whole time.
Can't hear us.
Except for the part where I wasn't here. You can't hear me?
Okay. Now we can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? We got 10 more minutes of this.
Maybe if I turn off his camera.
Jack, now can you hear us?
Oh no. Jack, we've lost Jack.
Dump out and come back. Dump out and come back.
It's the fucking CIA. See, I knew
it. Yeah, that's what we get for talking about the man.
Stop it. I want Jack to come back so bad. He's
fucking.
I really.
What are you doing? What you went to
just bouncing us around.
You went through every single possible combination.
Oh man. Yeah. So
I gotta keep myself entertained until Jack gets back. Let's see if Jack gets back. No. Maybe not.
Jack, come
Jack
back.
is having nothing but
Jack,
problems.
There he is.
back.
Oh, okay.
Jack,
Don't move.
come
Don't
back.
move.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
now we
can.
can.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, we can. Come back, Jack.
Okay,
Jack, come
wonderful,
back.
wonderful.
Don't move, Jack.
I'm here.
Don't move.
I'm here.
Don't,
I'm not going to
Don't-
move it. I'm not touching
don't
anything.
swivel your chair, Jack. Do not swivel your chair. Jack, I do want to ask you a question before we lose you again. We just showed a beautiful clip of you talking about your true north and all your projects, active measures, American psyop, lawyers, guns, and money, all about being, does it actually help, strengthen our democracy, or does it move us toward authoritarianism? And you work on projects to help strengthen our democracy. And I'd like to say this team does as well. And can you speak on that a little bit before we lose you again? Yo.
Well, I mean, I think that that's really what we're all kind of fighting for and trying to figure out how we can figure out and see and explain what's going on, and understand that narratives are really important, and understanding that, if you want to have some kind of control over where things are going, you need to understand where they've been and how things operate. And so I think that, it is a real struggle. I mean, Jim, earlier we were saying about the lawfare of it. It's true. Listen, I get insurance for these podcasts, insurance, legal insurance,
Yeah.
but like for American psyop, it was kind of expensive, very specifically because of the Mike Flynn stuff.
Yeah.
That has a real effect, and it really does. If you are if it's happening to me, I'm sure it's happening to newspapers, that if you are, covering certain things, you're going to get pressured in certain ways. I can tell you, streamers right now, like all the streamers, they don't want any political documentaries. None. They're going to want some next year when the election cycle is happening, but right now, funding for political docs, like I'm pretty well positioned to get funding for political docs, and everybody that I know is telling me to pitch anything else.
Wow.
Because they don't want the trouble. And so where you can hear these stories and the places that you're going to get them are shrinking.
Yeah.
And there's still places. I mean, HBO and a couple places will do political docs, but they're not leading the market. The streamers are. And so people aren't going to finance a doc on the basis of one company being able to buy it. And so there are a lot of market forces at play in a macro way that really actually make these stories harder to tell. And telling them is important. And,
Yeah. Telling them is important. Are you back? Is he frozen on your end or just my end?
Nope, he's frozen. Jack, we lost you again.
Damn it. Telling these stories is important. Doing this work is important. That is why it's so important when people support. So important when people support the work of filmmakers and podcast, producers like Jack. Like, it's take out a subscription and get some early content to Lawyers, Guns, and Money. It's amazing.
For only $7.99, it's with our special. We have a
special rate.
We have a special. This is real. We have a special rate just for our viewers because you are so special and you get extra stuff and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
$7.99.
Yeah.
For a low price.
We're doing an ad for you, Jack.
In the absence of you, I'm
Hey, no, it's so great. Hi-Fi, did you cut the Creole clip? Because I would like Jack to see it if you did.
I would. Hold on, I did. I think.
I would very much like
Can you
that.
hear Jack though?
I can't hear Jack, unfortunately. I can't see Jack either.
I actually think that should be like a new meme.
Multimedia is a powerful social factor in defining whether this specifically influenced someone's behavior in a particular direction in a commercial or political sense. It's not an exact science.
I would agree with you completely, and I think that establishing the efficacy of five-factor modeling or any other kind of modeling is incredibly difficult. You can certainly gather enough reports that will come down on either side as to whether this is effective or whether this is not effective. What I would say is the effectiveness of it should not have an impact on the pursuit of the pursuit of illegality. If data has been gathered illegally, if someone has gathered a lot of data illegally and then what they've done with it is a mess and doesn't work, it doesn't matter. It's still illegal. If I attempt to murder somebody and I'm just really bad at murder, I'm still an attempted murderer.
I so wanted Jack to be able to hear that. I don't know if he was able to, but that's our friend Dr. Charles Krill from episode 70 of Radicalized Truth Survives. He actually was very involved in exposing and testifying about Cambridge Analytica and helping the EU tighten up its privacy data laws. And I just think it's so important. Recently, Elon Musk tweeted out how, I don't remember the context off the top of my head, but how this type of digital subterfuge doesn't really matter. And then he sidewinded to Hunter Biden's laptop or some bullshit. It does matter. The whole line about Cambridge Analytica wasn't effective or any of these attacks weren't effective. It's not the point. Like Creel said in that very important hearing, because Trinidad and Tobago were among the nations that were first targeted by Cambridge Analytica as dry runs before Brexit in America. And it doesn't matter whether or not, there's definitive evidence of an election being swayed. What matters is they're still attempted murderers and they're still attempting to murder democracy. And that is why I wanted to show that clip that preceded our interview with Dr. Creel, because I think that's a very important topic.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees that that's an important topic. Dr. Creel also has done a couple of phenomenal documentaries. I'm blanking on
Disinformed and People You May Know. Super important with our friend. Yes.
Disinformdoc.com. I'll put it in chat on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, I might remind y'all to head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and and turn on notifications and all that crap.
And drop us some coin. Drop us some coin while you're at it, man.
Well, because we've been doing this for 71 episodes and have never done any thought into any of this shit.
Oh my God!
Well, here we go. We're gonna be real now.
Well, you know what's fun? I just finished writing a report on Eric Prince, American Monster, number 10 in the series, and it's just important that the UN in their report on his activity in Libya, which he denies, basically said part of the package was going to be cyber warfare. And it's like, why do we keep on making cyber warfare some sort of exemption from real warfare? How many years into this war, this information war, which is still war, are we? Have we learned nothing? Sometimes I feel like we haven't, but that's why we do the show and bring on brilliant people like Jack.
The problem is we have casualties. If we look at what happened in Maine and the internet information that individual was taking in was transphobic, hate-filled, conspiracy-filled.
I know.
Somewhere around a third of his interactions were with Elon Musk.
I'm just so sad.
So, anyway, who, by the way, shadow banned me like a little bitch.
Why? Because aside from being a little bitch, Elon Musk is a fucking problem.
Hey, we're not gonna go out like that. I want to go out with a clip from Jack's show because it's $7.99 at lawyersgunsandmoney.supercast.com, right? Yeah.
And I would like to like to say that it is available on Apple Podcasts right there. Not all of it yet. I think we only have a teaser, and a trailer. And already you guys are trending in the top 100.
Yeah.
What? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Go, John and Jack.
The whole week. We've been great. Amazing.
Yeah.
This thing's going to go. I'm telling you. It's going to go.
And Jack's going to come back and talk to my Betty Dangerous community on Sunday. So I'm very excited about that. And hopefully we'll have a special discount code again to offer, because right now it's $7.99. It's really fun to pitch someone else's stuff. Oh, guys. Okay, let's hear. Can we hear a little bit of something? Do you have a little something, a trailer, a teaser, something with
Actually, Jack, I want you to know, as an editor, I'm actually very proud of this one because I put it at the end of our show, and it's right after all of us say, thank you, Jack. And then I cut to John Cryer saying, thanks, Jack. And it's just beautiful cut.
All right,
I'll play it for you now.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Good to know. Give yourself a fucking
Thanks, Jack.
bro.
I'm John Cryer, and this is Lawyers, Guns, and Money. It's the early 1980s, and Miami is the United States' biggest hub for narcotics transportation from Central and South America. 70% of all the marijuana and cocaine coming into America passes through South Florida. This is the era of the cocaine cowboys.
They call them the cocaine cowboys. Yesterday, they struck busy Dadeland shopping mall shortly after 2, spraying the parking lot with bullets. The Miami Colombian connection is 80% of a $20 billion annual cocaine business.
The drug trade touches every part of life in Miami.
Sam Smith was a Florida judge until the FBI caught him selling marijuana. In Miami, 1/3 of the Dade County Homicide Squad is under indictment for protecting a major drug dealer. And the state's top law enforcement officer is wondering
who's running the state, the government or the drug smugglers.
And as drug money pours in, Miami booms.
According to experts at the Organized Crime Bureau of the Dade County Public Safety Department, drug smuggling through South Florida may well be the state's most profitable enterprise.
And with the drugs come guns, making Miami the murder capital of America as well.
the murder rate has shot up 70%. The head of Miami's Police Benevolent Association has warned that the criminal justice system can no longer protect the public.
Now, if you're looking for a rundown of what gangs and cartels were in power at what time, there are a bunch of really good documentaries, books, and films on this topic. Scarface is about Miami during this period. But this story is different. This is the story of what happens when that world of Scarface and cocaine and arms smuggling collides with the White House.